Joining me now is Shadow Cabinet Secretary Andrew Wallace. Welcome. Thank you so much, Andrew. The pressure is certainly mounting on Labor at the moment over its super tax. And what's really being discussed now is the impact it's going to have on farmers. And Anthony Albanese was pressed on this yesterday.
What we need to do is to make sure that our superannuation system is fair. That is what we are setting about to do.
But what we know now, Andrew, thanks to the papers, is that some members of Labor's economic team wanted to exempt farmers, but they were overruled. Why do you think they would have done that?
Well, I think that some of the perhaps smarter heads, Caroline, in the Labor Party would have realised how toxic this draconian tax will be amongst the voters. I mean, let's look at this for what it is. And this is taxing Australians on paper profits. This is not something that has been done before. Ordinarily, you pay tax on the profits that you make. But if this tax becomes law, everyday Australians who have, albeit generous superannuation entitlements, they have generous superannuation balances, the figure will play out, whether it's 3 million or 2 million or whatever it might be. But the concept of these Australians having to pay tax on money that they have not yet earned, that's the concept of unrealised capital gains. They are paying tax on a paper profit, whether that's through the value of a farm, whether it's through value of shares. The reality is that asset has not been sold, and yet Anthony Albanese and Jim Chalmers are going to stick their hand out every year and say, on paper, that asset is now worth more than what it was in the previous year. You need to pay us now 30% of the value of that increase in value. Now, that is just an anathema to everything that the Liberal Party stands for. And in fact, most Australians, I think, would be up in arms about this. We were talking about this before the election. Unfortunately, it didn't get a lot of traction during the election. But I tell you what, it's getting traction now. And Australians, particularly people like farmers, who would be in a situation where what do they have to sell? How do they pay that annual tax? They're going to have to start selling assets to be able to pay that tax that they haven't even earned yet. So, you know, it's just crazy.
Well, it looked at one point like the coalition might be trying to reach a deal with Labor here and at least get indexing fixed into this policy so that it doesn't trap more people going forward. But now the coalition has come out and said that there will be no compromise with the government. Why did it, take so long to reach that point? And do you think now there's a risk that the policy is going to be even worse if the government reaches a deal with the Greens?
Well, I don't agree that there was a potential compromise. The Ted O'Brien and before him Angus Taylor were very, very clear. This is a draconian tax. It's a bad tax, and we don't support it. The Financial Services Council has identified that even if in its current form, that is $3 million balance, that is unindexed, that will impact not on 80,000 Australians, as the Treasurer would have you believe, but on 500,000 Australians. And if it was $2 million and unindexed, it would impact on 1.8 million Australians. So, it is far more reaching than what Jim Chalmers would have you believe. And, we will fight this every step of the way. If the Labor Party do a deal with the Greens, well, I think that they will rue the day.
Yeah. Well, let's move on because the South China Morning Post are reporting that Anthony Albanese will meet Chinese President Xi Jinping this summer. Now, that would mean that he would have visited more with Xi than with US President Donald Trump. What do you think that says about him?
Well, clearly, the Prime Minister has been trying to cosy up to Xi Jinping ever since he became Prime Minister. The US, the United States, is our closest ally from an alliance perspective. It'll be very interesting to see how the Prime Minister goes at the G7 in Canada in a week's time, whether he even gets a meeting with President Trump, and if he does, how the discussions will go in relation to the tariffs, whether the Prime Minister will weaken his position that he's come out and talked about today in relation to the importing of beef. All of these things will be very, very clear, but there's absolutely no doubt that the Prime Minister over the last 3 years has been very, very quick to cosy up to Xi Jinping. He, in my view, he is really not demonstrating the fact that our closest ally is the United States, has been since the Second World War. And I'm concerned about this perhaps sidestepping away. The United States, Australia relies upon the United States as our most critical defence ally.
Well, maybe it's a keep your friends close and your enemies even closer, even though he's not keeping Trump all that close, it would seem. Look, just very quickly, because we'll have to leave after this, but a significant update today on the case of missing teenager Phoebe Bishop. Police have now released body cam footage of the moment one of the two housemates of the 17-year-old was arrested and charged with her murder. In this vision that was released this afternoon, James Wood can be seen being guided out of a home by police and told by an officer, "I'm placing you under arrest for the homicide of Phoebe Bishop." His partner, Tamika Bromley, has also been charged. Now, obviously, this case, Andrew, is before the courts. We're limited in what we can say, but it really has captured the attention of not just Queensland, but the entire country. And this is a significant development.
It is, Caroline. I think when the male individual there was released without charge just last night, there was a concern on the part of many Australians. But I think the first thing you've got to recognise is that everybody's entitled to the presumption of innocence. But our heart goes out to Phoebe's family, the Bishop family, that the absolute, pain that they must be experiencing right now. I would just send a shout out to, if anybody knows anything about the disappearance of Phoebe, anything at all, even if it's remote, please get in touch with police, because your information could be just that very small missing piece in the jigsaw puzzle which could assist the police.
Yeah, well said. Andrew Wallace, thank you for your time.